rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events, this is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, Whiskey Warriors, and all of you Americans from sea to shining sea. This is American Perspective, and I am your ever so humble host, Rick. I see the usual band of Neanderthal, MAGA deplorable, or non-deprogrammed deplorable, whatever. I see all of you guys out there today, and yeah, it looks like, I don't know what happened, but it looks like Rumble is running like 45 seconds behind, so that's going to be kind of interesting in terms of watching the chat while I'm actually in the in the show, because the chat will obviously be a lot slower than where I'm at in the show, so that'll be kind of interesting. Okay, so tonight I have a couple of things. First of all, we are almost done with Pride Month, and then we get to move into Black History Month. So I've got something on that for tonight. I'm getting a little tired of Democrats always saying that we are a democracy. So I've got a little bit of something on that. Plus a smorgasbord of other things that are going on. So grab a seat, grab a drink, whatever it is that's going to make yourself comfortable for the next hour, and we'll get right on to it. So here we are coming up. First things first, of course, we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance, and the Pledge of Allegiance tonight is going to be read by our very own over on Rumble, Amy. Now, Amy tells me that she's been having some problems with some dillos and her dogs. And ironically, while she was regaling us with the story in the chat, I also had a issue, or had a thing that popped in this morning or this afternoon too. Obviously, those of you who have been longtime listeners know that I am that I have property and that I have horses, and so I went to go feed the horses. Well, my dog, 60-pound American Staffordshire Terrier mix, who he essentially thinks that he's a lot bigger than what he actually is, and so he chased down or tried to chase down, I should say, a deer. Now, I've been able to keep him from chasing the rabbits, thankfully. I've hopefully have been teaching him. I've been trying to tell him no, that he's not supposed to chase those, and so he's been successful so far. But either way, he can't catch either one, so it really doesn't make much of a difference. Anyway, it's just funny to watch him go after him, because he takes off, and the deer, of course, are jumping 6 foot high and stuff, and yeah, it's one of those things. Oh, all right. Well, it looks like somebody might have some Rumble issues. So anyway, hopefully you'll be able to get that fixed, Sergeant. No. Sound seems to be good for everybody else. So, all right. Well, that's cool. Okay, so let's go ahead and get to Amy's Pledge of Allegiance. So please, if you are of mind, please stand, remove your hat, place your hand over your heart, and let's have Amy lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, and I thank Amy for that rendition. If you would like to hear yourself say the Pledge of Allegiance on the program, you can do so by recording yourself and then sending me the audio file over to my email address of fans, FANS, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans, FANS, at AmericanPerspective.online. And tonight we have, for our sponsor, we have True Grit Roots Network, TGRN.net. And let me tell you about an overnight program that we have. I mean, most people, you know, they listen during the day or whatever it seems to have happening. And, you know, sometimes you work late at night. I know, like, for an example, the McGroins are up quite early in the morning, and they have a channel on Rumble that they run, but they have they are up early in the morning and stuff. So maybe they might want to listen to some really good tunes that are the longer versions of the sets. That's where our program Night Train comes in, starting at midnight, Monday through Friday, Central Time, and going until 6 a.m., where our breakfast, or our breakfast club, basically, our morning show starts up at 6 a.m. Central. So from midnight till 6 a.m. Central Time, Monday through Friday, you get a dose of the Night Train. And the Night Train is hosted by your conductor, Ernesto, and he will guide you along in the journey for some long extended play cuts. The long cuts, the songs that you rarely hear on the radio, can be found at TGRN Blues on the show The Night Train with Ernesto. So climb aboard, take a seat, and enjoy The Night Train. Like I said, it airs weekdays from midnight to 6 a.m. Central Time. And you can listen to that through your browser at tgrn.net, or you can download our app from tgrn.net. There's links to get it. Or if you already have the Live 365 app, you can listen to us on the Live 365 digital radio catalog. You can also listen to us through iHeart as well as the Odyssey app. That's AUDACY. The Odyssey app. And you can get that as well. We're on all those locations. So come and join us. Take a listen to TGRN Blues exclusively on tgrn.net. And of course, we thank you for the listen. All right. So let's go ahead and just kind of get this started. So We're going to start moving out of the month of Pride, which, by the way, has anybody been following me on the socials? If you have, you'll know that I've been trying to post every single day saying that this is American Pride Month, and then, of course, posting a picture or an image of the American flag with the hashtag Pride Month. Kind of in the hopes that maybe I'll get enough support that we'll be able to kind of take this month back. But following on after this, we have what is known as Black History Month. And one of the things that is discussed often with like Black History Month is the fact that we have, at least according to the Democrats claim that we have all kinds of racism. And so we need Black History Month in order to, celebrate the Black Americans that are in our country and in our life. But what's funny, though, is that I haven't seen any overt acts of racism in my lifetime, and I've traveled all over the country. I mean, I've traveled quite a bunch of places, you could say, in my previous work life. I've also traveled all over the world too. Well, I won't say every place in the world, but I have traveled many places in the world. And I can just tell you that racism in 2024 doesn't seem to exist very much. But for whatever reason, the Democrats seem to, and the leftist Marxist Democrats, I should say, seem to want to say that Republicans, conservatives, American-loving patriots, that we are all racists, that we all hate black people and brown people or whatever other kinds of things that they want to try and get you to say. Yet at the same time, they also talk about how a black American can't get a ID to vote, which to me sounds like a soft bigotry of low expectations, in my opinion. Or the Democrat states go and change the educational system such that you don't need to pass tests or whatever in order to graduate, because if you require tests, that is a form of racism. Yeah, that's like not the case, I guess. And then, of course, we have Jussie or Jussie, or however he pronounces his name, Smollett, who goes and makes up a story of attempted racism by, supposedly, or at least how he's put it, MAGA Republicans went and threw a noose around him, and he was coming out of a subway or whatever it was. Well, we all know how that came out. They found him to be the perpetrator of said crime and threw him in jail for it. You have NASCAR's Bubba Wallace. There was a garage door pull that supposedly was fashioned into a semblance of a noose. And the FBI came out and investigated, and it turned out that it was the standard door pull for that particular location. So it's not like, so far all we've seen in most cases, whenever these types of things have come up, they seem to be debunked very quickly and very soon. Now, we now have another one to add to the debunked racist files. Check this out. So this article came out in Red State, but I've seen it in other places as well. Here's the title: Fakes, Fakes, and More Fakes. Texas Democrat arrested for sending himself bogus racist messages. These people, they want racism to exist so badly that they went ahead and created, Jussie Smollett, whoever called in the door polls at the NASCAR race. I'm probably forgetting a few other stories that have been running around. But fakes, fakes, and more fakes. So here, this Texas Democrat, and it comes from Taral Patel, who is a Democrat running for the Fort Bend Precinct 3 commissioner, has now been arrested for fake racist messages, using an innocent Fort Bend resident's photo as the profile photo for the fake messages. So in other words, he's grabbed somebody's profile photo who was close by to him, put up an account, and made it all fake, trying to claim, of course, that it was racism, that he was receiving racist messages. So he's been arrested on charges of sending fake hate messages to himself on social media. Authorities allege that Patel spent months sending a stream of racist and derogatory comments to himself, impersonating a supporter of an incumbent Republican Commissioner Andy Myers. Months? This is months of it? Oh my gosh. Arguably, this could be called election interference. He's trying to set himself up as the brave soul fending off racist attacks to serve the people of Fort Bend. Yeah. Law enforcement reported that Patel used an image of a real Fort Bend resident as the profile picture without the individual's consent. It's not a stretch to think that Patel could have actually endangered this unnamed man through this egregious act of fraud. Whoever the innocent Fort Bend resident whose face was used is, it would appear that he has a tailor-made defamation suit just waiting to apply. Oh, folks, the Democrats, I mean, let's not even just, let's just forget the fact that he was actually doing this. He was creating this fraudulent account in the hopes that it would garner him support in order to win the election. Voter fraud doesn't exist. Voter fraud doesn't exist. Remember? 2020 was the most secure, the most accurate, the most everything. Yeah, this is ridiculous. Why is it that the Democrats all seem to have to try and why is it that the Democrats seem to have to try and lie and cheat in order to win? Why did they do this? I mean, this is and for something that is very easily checked out too and verified. This is crazy. This is nuts. I don't remember any of this happening in 10, 12, 15 years ago. What the hell has gone on with these Democrats? Well, at the time of the fakery, apparently Patel posted this to his social media account. As your Democrat candidate for county commissioner, I am always open to criticism of my policy positions and stances on issues. This was posted apparently in September 2023 on Facebook. However, when my Republican opponent's supporters decide to hurl racist, anti-immigrant, Hindu-phobic, or otherwise disgusting insults at my family, faith, community, colleagues, and me, that crosses a line. Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of... He's the one that wrote it, and he's claiming his innocence there. But anyway, apparently the Facebook message may still be up. Let's take a look. Let's take a look real quick and see if it is. Oh, it might have me. Oh, nope. There it is. There it is. Where is he saying? Yeah, right here. Right here. Oh, there's that statement. And it's still up. He's been arrested, but it's still up. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh, what a mess. What a mess. Who would even think of doing something like this? I mean, seriously, I'm completely lost at all of this. And it seems like the times that we need to, potentially have racist undertones, they seem to be perpetrated by people within the Democrat Party. I just don't, I don't understand why would, jeez. I just don't understand this. Well, apparently I'm not the only one who doesn't quite understand this either. Now, I've shown you videotape, and he did an interview with 60 Minutes. This man did, and this was a long time ago, but he did an interview with 60 Minutes many, many, many years ago. And he, in it, he basically was like, why, I don't want a history month. I don't want Black History Month. I don't want a history month. Why? Do you want a white history month? Is there a white history month? And the interviewer, I can't remember the guy's name, very famous. I know the face, but very famous guy. He's like, well, I'm Jewish. And he goes, oh, okay. Well, do you want a Jewish History Month? And the guy's like, oh, no, of course not. And this man, who I have admired since he has discussed on this, although I do disagree with him on certain things, at least he's right on this one. It is essentially that Black History Month, he doesn't agree with it. Now, who is this guy? Because he says, my history is American history. Now, who is this guy? He's a very famous black actor by the name of Morgan Freeman. That's right, Morgan Freeman is back in the news again. This one in Fox News, he derides Black History Month and he repeats himself saying, my history is American history. The Academy Award-winning actor said, this whole idea makes my teeth itch. It's not right. Yeah. Well, he's once again, and I'm telling you, I mean, I appreciate this. So he was being interviewed apparently by Variety on Saturday, and he once again brought this up. His response to apparently a question about Black History Month, he says, I detest it. The mere idea of it. You are going to give me the shortest month in a year, and you're going to celebrate my history? This whole idea makes my teeth itch. It's not right. Freeman then added, my history is American history. It's the one thing in this world I am interested in beyond making money, having a good time, and getting enough sleep. So he stressed the value of knowing American history. He related it to his upcoming movie, The Gray House, which is based on the true story of 3 women who worked as Union spies during the Civil War. Freeman serves as the executive producer in the film. He says, if you don't know your past, if you don't remember it, you are bound to repeat it. Now, he's made comments about this all the time. I mean, it seems like almost every year Black History Month comes up and he brings it up to this, and he considers it an insult along with the term African American. And he's right in this as well. Okay. Freeman says, I don't subscribe to that title. He goes, black people have had different titles all the way back to the N-word, and I do not know how these things get such a grip. But everyone uses African American. What does it really mean? He adds. You know, that's one thing that I have to point out is, as I said earlier, I've been a lot of places on this globe. I've been to a lot of different states. And I can tell you one thing, that when you go to places such as England or somewhere over in Asia or Italy, okay, those people who are there, and believe me, there are all kinds of skin types all over the world. There are black people in Italy and England. And when you ask them, hey, what do you call yourself? Are you a African Englishman? Are you an African Italian? They look at you funny. They look at you as though you've lost your freaking mind. And what they say is, no, I am Italian. I am English. I am French. They don't look at you and classify what they are by some other country's name like we do here in America. This is The one thing that has never made any sense to me. Why would you even call yourself African American? Or, you know, I mean, would I call myself European American? Because I can tell you right now, all of my ancestors came from Europe. I am Scotch, French, German, Polish, and Scotch, French, German, Polish. Scotch, French, German, Polish, Irish. I had to remember all that. That's what my makeup is. But you know what? My family, my genealogy dates all the way back to my family coming here in the 1900s, the early 1900s. I'm talking like 1900 or 1901. And I'm American. I'm not European American. I'm American. That's what I am. And that's what anybody else would be if they were born on this continent. You don't sit here and call yourself European American. So why would you call yourself African American? 99.9% of people who were born here in America have zero tie to Africa other than some ancestry. But you're American. Unless you were born elsewhere and then came here and immigrated with your family, you're American. You're American. Uh-oh, looks like I'm in trouble. Amy is saying I have to answer something, so I have no idea what the heck. We'll have to see what goes on. It's probably an email. Anyway, so this is he was interviewed in 2005, and he was talking about Black History Month, and he goes, I don't want a Black History Month. Black history is American history. He also added that the best way to get rid of racism is to stop talking about it. And in the interview, he said, I am going to stop calling you a white man, and I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a black man. This is true. Okay. This is absolutely true. There's no reason to necessarily call somebody a black man. Unless, of course, you're describing them for, you know, somebody in particular to identify them. But otherwise, you're a man or a woman. Of course, the left can't figure out whether, you know, what that actually is. They don't even know what's going on. But anyway, you know, he has a lot of interesting in terms of Morgan Freeman, just to kind of talk about him for just a second. He has a lot of ideas with regards to, you know, religion and those kinds of things. And I don't necessarily agree with some of his conclusions. But on this, I'm right there with you, buddy. I'm right there with you, sir. There's no reason for us to have a Black History Month. There's no reason for us to have a Native American History Month. That's all part and parcel of our American history. And that's why we should ignore the whole idea that there is real racism that's running rampant among the Republican Party. I can tell you it's not. And it's definitely not running rampant in public today. There might be some pockets of it, I would agree. There is a possibility that you'll run across a few people here and there. But I'm telling you right now, there is no far out, expansive, all-encompassing racism in this country. Okay. So the other big thing that has come out, which of course, you know, this is a thing for the Democrats to try and take, you know, made up strikes against Republicans with regards to what this country is. And I'll get to that after this break. Have you seen these fantastic shirts that I wear? I wear them every single episode of every single show here recently. And it's because of the fact that I want to support a veteran-owned, patriotic clothing company that creates these fantastic designs and patriotic styles for men, women, children, and also a whole bunch of accessories. You can go to theflagshirt.com and get the same exact shirts that I wear on this program. You can get them at theflagshirt.com. And right now, they have a whole bunch of specials because between Flag Day and Independence Day, they are doing all kinds of things to help you get prepared. And in fact, if you go ahead and order now, they guaranteed that you'll get your shipment for Independence Day right now. So you might want to head off to theflagshirt.com and go and check them out. Now, they have some fantastic t-shirts and some other selections of all kinds of button-down shirts. I personally like the men's cotton polos, but they also have performance polos for those of you who are in a different shape other than round. Go to theflagshirt.com and check out all of their clothing, apparel lines, and accessories that are all in the fantastic colors of red, white, and blue. Check them out at theflagshirt.com. And hey, I will give you a special incentive to do so. If you go to flagshirt.americanperspective.online, you'll get a coupon code that will give you $5 off your order. That's right. Go to flagshirt.americanperspective.online and you will get a coupon code that you can put in at checkout for $5 off your order. Go to flagshirt.americanperspective.online to get that $5 off coupon code to enter in at checkout at theflagshirt.com. And when you do, you will get yourself patriotized. And I'm telling you, they have some really good stuff. All right. So the left has taken on the idea, especially for this election cycle, to be talking about how defeating Donald Trump will save democracy. And, you know, it's a cheesy tagline. I mean, let's admit it. It's totally cheesy. However, you need to understand that they're actually wrong. America is not a democracy. America has some democracy elements within it. Okay. But America itself is not a democracy. Well, apparently, according to this Red State article, there was a reporter for CNN that was running around and did a small expose on this whole idea where they claim that it's MAGA Republicans that are calling the U.S. a republic, that's actually not true. And they tried to demonstrate what kind of a big problem this actually is supposed to be. Well, during such time as this, first of all, let me just say, there's no way that MAGA Republicans, or even just MAGA people, because some of us are not Republicans, some of us are strict constitutionalists, which is why we know for a fact that we are a republic, because anybody who has a constitution, I have a copy of this fantastic Saddleback leather-bound U.S. Constitution right here in my hand. I show it to you all the time. Well, I'm going to look up under Article 4. And this is part of the problem. The Democrats haven't read. They haven't read this at all because they don't like it. In fact, I think it's sort of like a cross to a freaking vampire. If you were to touch a leftist Marxist moron with the Constitution, maybe they'd act like the Wicked Witch of the West with water and just sort of like wither away and die. Maybe I should throw this at one of them just to see if this happens. But anyway, I'm sorry, I digress. If you go to Article 4, Section 4, it literally states, these people are so stupid. I can't. It literally states under Article 4, Section 4 in the U.S. Constitution, the United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government and shall protect each of them against invasion and on application of the legislature or of the executive when the legislature cannot be convened against domestic violence. Okay. So, there you go. It states that the United States shall guarantee to every state in the Union a republican form of government. Now, some people would look at that and they're like, oh, wait a minute, is that the Republican Party? Is that what they mean by republican form of government? Well, sorry, I had to throw the voice in. These people are so damn stupid. One of the things that you have to do, and I've mentioned it on this program many, many times, is that you need to go back and look at the context and the definitions of words back then. Now, the closest that we can get is Webster's Dictionary of 1828. There just so happens to be a free Webster's Dictionary online, 1828 dictionary. And here you can see that when you pull up the word democracy, okay, democracy is a noun and it is a government by the people. It's a form of government in which the supreme power is lodged in the hands of the people collectively, or in which the people exercise the power of legislation. Now, here's the thing. That definition leaves out a huge part. Now, if you were to go and look up democracy online, the definition of democracy online today, in today's frame of reference, they would be talking, and I swear, I'm fairly certain that some leftists go and they went and they bent this, okay? They bent this to their will in order to demonstrate that democracy is actually, pretty close to like a republic. Okay? It's not. I'm just telling you right now, it is not. A democracy, essentially based on this definition of the word democracy, is pretty much that the people are the legislature. That's it. The people would go and you would create legislation based on voting, 100% voting. Now, what does that mean? That means that every time a law had to be set up or approved, okay, you would end up with a vote that would have to be done by the public or for the public, to the public, and a majority, even if it's just a slim majority, a majority would have to say that democracy, in a democratic system of government, that the people would have to choose. Now, the founding fathers specifically avoided democracy because of the fact that they knew that it would lead to what is essentially mob rule. And in terms of today's dispersion of our population centers, basically what would happen is you would have the states of California, New York, and Illinois running everything, running the entire country in a strict democracy, in a democracy style. Now, that's assuming that we could actually even get anything done, because in reality, requiring to have a vote of the people for every single solitary change in our laws would take forever. And it would slow down everything and nothing would get done. Now, when you look at the definition in Webster's 1828 dictionary for the term republic, here's the first definition. A commonwealth, a state in which the exercise of the sovereign power is lodged in representatives elected by the people. In modern usage, it differs from a democracy or a democratic state in which the people exercise the powers of sovereignty in person. Yet the democracies of Greece are often called republics. Now listen very carefully as I break this definition down. It is essentially that a republic, unlike a democracy where the power is invested directly in the individual people, okay, the republic invests the power in representatives who have been elected by the people. And that's the difference. It's because of the way that we elect our representatives and send our representatives off to the different places, whether it be the state or whether it be the county or whether it even be all the way to the federal government. Okay? What you end up with is the representatives, the elected representatives who go off and represent us in government, is what makes this a republic and not a democracy. Now, another difference that makes this a republic and actually turns it into more of a constitutional republic is the fact that the Constitution allows for, number one, the separation of powers. You have the presidency in the executive branch, you have the legislature in the form of Congress, and you have the law, God dang it, I just lost it. But anyway, you have the Supreme Court and the court system for the judicial branch. That's what it was. And when you sit here and you look at all of this, you're like, okay, well, so that's what the republic is. Now, if you look at a modern definition, if you were to go and just Google the modern definition of democracy, they actually grab a lot of the elements of a republic and they stuff it in there. They try to make the democracy side look more like a republic and less like what it actually is, which is simply mob rule. So, for you leftist Marxist morons that are out there, we are a republic. We are a constitutional republic because we have several elements, yes, of democracy in terms of some of the ways that we do with our voting. But not everything is that way. We have a Republican form of government, which is essentially a representative form of government, meaning that we elect the representatives, and the representatives, in turn, are supposed to represent our interests and would be making the laws while adhering to laws themselves. And that's what makes us a republic, not a republic, not a democracy. So these little bastards that are running around here talking about that, but let me just play this for you. This showed up on CNN. In particular, it was on Anderson Cooper 360, and he sent this out here. Now, the guy that did this quote-unquote expose, his name is Donnie O'Sullivan. And what he did in the first part, I'm not going to play the whole clip, but what he did in the first part of this clip was he went out and he started talking to like MAGA Republicans or people that were wearing Trump gear and that kind of stuff. So he identified them as MAGA, and he kept using the word democracy until one of them corrected him and was saying, no, we are a republic. And so he came back, and of course he gave his thoughts. So take a listen to what this guy, this part of it's only about a little bit longer than a minute. So take a listen to what this guy says about, or has said about, his time. Well, I don't even have it up on screen. Give me just a second here. What this guy says about this quote unquote investigative reporting. And yes, I put it in quotes because he's just a, anyway, take a listen.
I mean, this whole democracy republic thing is fascinating. This is the first I've heard of that kind of new thing that they're now pushing. And it looks like folks on Fox are pushing it. Is there a reason the people you spoke with think the country isn't a democracy now? I mean,
yeah, look, I mean, Anderson, some of those folks no doubt genuinely believe that and might have believed it for a long time. This isn't necessarily a new talking point. However, we have seen it just revive over the past few months. And really the reason we did this piece was over the past few months, just unprompted. As I was speaking to a lot of Trump supporters, they would bring this very specific line up. And look, this really, it's not a debate, right, about the former government here. It's not a debate about democracy. Really why this is happening, and you saw it there in that piece on Fox News and elsewhere on conservative and right-wing media, people are trying to convince Trump supporters, others, that America is not a democracy in the first place. And we actually saw, I happen to notice that this seemed to pick up a bit after President Biden's speech in Philadelphia, where he described Trump as a threat to democracy. This is how they seem to be trying to twist language to try and neutralize describing Trump as a threat to democracy, because if America is not a democracy in the first place, then there's nothing to worry about.
Joining us, Sullivan, thank you very much. One of the pillars.
What a moron. I'm just going to say it straight out. What a freaking moron. We are a republic. It says so. I just pointed it out. Article 4, Section 4. It tells you right there. We're a Republican form of government. But this is what the left watches. This is what the left looks at every single day. They look at CNN, they look at Anderson Cooper, and they think, oh, yeah, this is, all kinds of, this is the way that, the MAGA is taking us. No, you morons. We are a constitutional republic, okay? These freaking stupid ass people. I can't even believe it. But O'Sullivan, just to kind of continue in that vein, O'Sullivan sat down with a author, Anne Applebaum. Now, I have no idea who the heck she is, but apparently she's some sort of a I don't know, expert that they think that she's on. But anyway, he sat down with an interview with her and asked, is America a democracy? And Applebaum is like, America is a democracy. It was founded as a democracy. No, it was not. It was not founded as a democracy. In fact, the founders, several founders are quoted as saying that democracy, and this is taking from a reported quote from Benjamin Franklin, a democracy is like two wolves and a sheep taking a vote on what's for dinner. That's what a democracy is. A democracy is literally the majority of the people voting on a particular thing, and whatever happens, the majority rules. They knew, the founders knew, this was going to lead to mob rule if they went to a pure democracy. And that's not it. That's not it. Our country is a constitutional republic. It says it right in our founding document. It's the way that our country's government is set up. We are a republic. And no matter how many times, just like insurrection, no matter how many damn times these Democrats want to make you believe that we're a democracy, we're not. We are a constitutional republic. we have certain elements that seem democratic in nature, such as voting, and especially when voting for our representatives, it is by literally mob rule, popular vote. And I can tell you, coming from a state where that just irks the crap out of me, because we have cities that are ruling the entire state. But that being said, that is about the only place that we show up as a democracy. The rest of it is all dealt off of a representative republic, and a constitutional one at that. And I get tired of the Democrats saying the same damn things over and over and over again about this. We are a constitutional republic. It says so right within our founding document. All right, let me move on from there. You know, one thing that I've mentioned on this program a few times is that the plain and simple fact that we I gotta bring this up. So Lisa Kelly over on Facebook, she writes this down. When one of our founders was asked, what kind of country do we have? He replied, and I quote, a constitutional republic, if you can keep it. Okay. So that reportedly, but not verified, reportedly was an inner exchange between Benjamin Franklin and somebody as he was leaving the Constitutional Convention. But that hasn't been verified yet. So, but that has been multiple times has been attributed to Benjamin Franklin. But again, I'm just going to stress it hasn't been verified that that is the quote. But yes, that is what we have. And that is actually how it's been, presented to people throughout time. So could it have happened? Sure, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it did. Okay. So one of the things that I've been talking to you about this program, shifting gears from the national to the international, is the fact that China has been ramping up tensions against Taiwan. And the reason being, just to kind of cover it really quick, the reason being is that that China never really admitted that Taiwan is its own independent country. And so the fact that Taiwan has been operating as a separate and independent country for many, many years doesn't seem to faze China that much. Now, that being said, Taiwan has a strategic meaning for us here in the U.S. and pretty much for the world too, by the way, is because of the fact that 90% of all of the silicon chips that are made in all of our electronics come from Taiwan. Just about everything that you find in the marketplace has some element of a Taiwan manufactured product within it. This even coming from places like Japan and Vietnam and Korea, as well as China. They all have something from Taiwan in them. In fact, many of our military applications have Taiwan-made silicon chips in them. And so one of the big problems that we have if China decides to take this over will be a complete interruption worldwide of electronics. So this is why I've been saying we need to pay attention to what's going on over in the East, in China and what's happening over there. And of course, Biden is not going to do anything about this realistically, because Biden himself is very weak. Very weak. So this is just another incursion into Taiwan. Warrior Maven put this out. China again circles Taiwan with 23 warplanes and 7 warships. According to the Ministry of National Defense in Taiwan, who reported the movement of the 23 Chinese military aircraft and the 7 naval vessels. Recent developments in the Taiwan Strait have drawn significant attention from global military analysts. The activity was observed between 6 a.m. on June 12th and 6 a.m. on June 13th. Notably, 19 of these aircraft crossed the median line of the Taiwan Strait and entered Taiwan's eastern and southwestern air defense identification zones. This incident is part of a broader pattern of increasing Chinese military maneuvers around Taiwan, prompting a detailed technical analysis of the strategic implications and potential outcomes. The Chinese People's Liberation Army, the PLA, has been steadily increasing its military presence around Taiwan. And this incident is a continuation of a trend that started in September of 2020. This pattern includes a significant number of incursions into Taiwan's ADIZ, which is, again, the Air Defense Identification Zone, and crossings of the median line, an unofficial boundary that both sides had respected for years to avoid any kind of direct confrontation. Now, the aircraft involved in these operations are typically a mix of fighters, bombers, and reconnaissance planes. The presence of bombers in particular suggests a show of force, demonstrating China's capability to project power and deliver strategic strikes if necessary. The naval vessels involved are likely a combination of destroyers, frigates, and possibly submarines, enhancing the PLA's ability to conduct multidimensional operations involving air, surface, and subsurface assets. Now, every time one of these incursions happens, Taiwan deploys its own aircraft, naval vessels, and coastal-based missile systems. The Republic of China Air Force scrambles fighter jets to intercept and monitor the Chinese aircraft, while the Navy positions its vessels to track the movements of the PLA ships. Yeah. So anyway, what I'm trying to get at here with this article is the fact that things are starting to heat up, and they're going to continue to heat up. They're going to continue to heat up the closer we get to the elections. This is not a good thing, folks. This definitely is not a good thing. And we're going to have to watch. We're going to have to watch what's going on over there because, as I've pointed out on this broadcast before, we have 3 main theaters of operations should World War III break out. One is already in play at this point, which is Eastern Europe. The second theater of operations is the Middle East, which now we have, if Iran decides to announce something such as a nuclear weapons capability, and I've already talked to you about that, that's going to be a bit of a problem. And the third theater of operations, in my opinion, is going to be over in Eastern Asia. This is all setting us up for a very bad situation that hopefully Trump will be able to bring us out of should he be elected. And I say should only because of the fact that, well, anything can happen. Anything's possible, but I certainly hope that he comes in. All right, folks, that is it for me this evening. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com, sign up for an account. It is free. And make sure you follow the American Perspective channel. Also, if you're already on Rumble, make sure you hit that thumbs up button before you take off, because that is one of the main ways that Rumble tracks these videos. And I would like to make the leaderboard and, of course, gain more exposure. We will see you tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on American Perspective. Have a great rest of your evening. Good night, everybody.
The previous broadcast was produced and is owned by Active Eye Media LLC. All rights reserved.